Welcome in. It is Aaron St. Dennis at FF Mad Scientist, joined by Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05 and Jeremy Shulman at FF_Rebel. We are here for NFL Week 15 AFC home game previews. There are 8 of them. We will be going with Bears, Browns, Chargers, Raiders, which is tonight's game. We'll start with that. Chiefs, Patriots, Cowboys, Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Steelers, Colts, Texans, Titans, and Vikings, Bengals. 1, 2, 3. That is 8. That's all of them. I think are they all straight AFC games? They are. Okay. I wasn't sure if I added in. We've got a weird schedule with some Saturday games, so didn't know if I added them in, but I think they're all NFC. Anyways, how's it going, guys? You excited to be in the fantasy playoffs?
Oh, hell yeah. This is what it's all about, man. Like, this
that
is what
look was something else. I'm like, what did I say? Jesse just looked like I shit myself on screen.
I'm like, are you crazy? This is what it's all about, man. This is like what I've been spending the last year, like building up towards with all the dynasty leagues and all the analysts and all the fun stuff. Like, this is what it all accumulates. And hopefully you got to buy. You don't got to deal with Keenan Allen. But if you're struggling at round 1, let's ride. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, man. I think I just put out an article. I think I'm in the playoffs in 137% of my leagues. So awesome, go me. Yeah, it's so crazy how you start out with mega teams in the preseason, and then now they're complete crap, and vice versa, right? I had a team where I had JJ and Chase stacked with Burrow and Cousins. I made some trades, had some injuries. I'm still in first place, but now I got Herbert. I traded for Herbert, and Herbert's out. So now I'm rolling out Browning and Mullins in the quarters because I lost my bye in the last week of the season.
I sat here for 15 minutes talking pre-show only to get right on air and realize I was hot suddenly and had to take my sweater off. But I completely hear you. I have a guy in one of my leagues. First place all year, arguably the best team. Week 1 going into the playoffs. No Herbert, no Keenan Allen. Goodbye. So it's going to be rough. But I look back at some of my leagues where exactly like you said, week 1, I'm like, this team is a juggernaut. These guys are awesome. How am I ever going to lose? And I look at my playoff roster going in, and I'm like the 8 seed. I'm going, ooh. Like, it just gets uglier. And I'm going, is there nobody on my bench? And then I switched over to another one because a lot of my leagues I play in so many I'm not that familiar with. So I look at one, and this league, I think I'm 8-5, 9-4, something like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, this team's probably average. And I click on it, and I'm scrolling through, and I'm going, okay, he's awesome. And I look, I'm going, wait, these aren't my starters. This is my bench. And I look up, and I'm going, how do you ever look at one of your teams and just be like, how was I allowed to accumulate this team? And how am I 8-5 with this team? It's one of those ones where I've outscored the second place team by 500 points. And yet I'm like 8-5. And I'm looking, and it's like, this was the league last week where I benched Austin Eckler because I just couldn't find a way. He's like my RB6. And I'm like, I can't get him into my lineup, but it's funny how it works sometimes. So,
well, Aaron, you and I are facing off in the playoffs
of the Warrior Bowl. I seen earlier. You're picked by 1, aren't you?
Say again.
You're picked by 1, aren't you? I think I looked earlier.
Yeah. So I finished in 5th place, but I was second in points, 6-8 on the season in that one. So squeaked into the playoffs. But it's just ridiculous. But yeah, we at least got. Right now, I'm favored by 5, so suck it.
See, and I think that may not be the league I'm thinking, but there's a lot of leagues where I can tell having too many leagues impacted me this year because there's 1 or 2 rosters where I have the deepest roster you've ever seen, but I have 7 guys on my bench that are normally starters that I just can't get into my lineup. So in a normal league, a couple weeks ago, I would have started consolidating and making 2-for-1 trades. But instead, I just have a plethora of fucking great players sitting on my bench. But this is what happens when you're in too many leagues. So I've already started, cutting back and sending out the "I'm not coming back" tweets or messages for next year. So it is what it is.
And then January rolls around. It's like, oh, you want to join this league? You're like,
yeah.
Exactly. That's how it goes.
I'm gonna keep. I want to keep one of each league, like one of each league type of dynasty redraft. Vampire, IDP. So I have a basis for like articles and research in that, but. Nope, I've got way too many leagues. The Expo alone, I got into like 17 leagues at the Expo, and like I don't even
know. No, thank you.
All right, I guess we should fire up here and get into it now that we've gone through a little half-hour-long speech. Who's tonight? Oh, there it is. Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right, we got Chargers, Raiders tonight. I have Herbert. It's not Herbert, I don't think, right?
No, he's done for the year.
Nope.
Oh, is he? Okay. I made this. I hadn't checked. I was going to say, I know he's
Is
out.
it?
I said he's on
Is
IR.
it O'Connell?
Done for the year?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
Herbert's done. Like they said, he's not playing. And O'Connell is. Ooh, we got a comment. I'm in help. Yeah. All right, I need help. Sorry.
Let's give that one a minute. Okay. We'll get there.
Yeah, no, but yeah, as far as I know, they haven't announced the starting quarterback for the Raiders. So have fun with that one. Jacobs
is O'Connell
entirely
hurt?
questionable. We don't know. Yeah, no, they might just bench him because he was terrible last week. Like he was
It's just
awful.
horrible.
He was saved by how bad Josh Dobbs was.
This is how.
But Antonio Pierce said if Josh Jacobs is play, it's like going to be the Josh Jacobs show. So if Josh Jacobs plays, I would be confident starting him. Just we have no idea if he's playing. So like you have that on top of it. Devontae Adams is injured. There's just shenanigans everywhere in this game. Like I really hate this game. The only person I trust is Eckler. Like to tell you the truth, I don't trust anybody else in this entire game.
The answer to this
Agree.
question,
Which you wouldn't have said a week ago.
No. I'd be like, no, I can't play Eckler.
I would play Young over Stick. I think I'd play McLaurin over Young. Though.
Yes.
I think I play McLaurin.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't do a Chandler. That just seems so much risk.
No.
Well,
but do you play McLaurin over Bryce Young as a super flex? I think I do.
Yeah. Bryce Young's been really bad.
Let's see who the matchup is. Just a second.
I'm playing Tommy DeVito over Bryce Young, and where I'm like the 3 seed in the league, and I'm like, we're just rolling with the DeVito because Bryce Young's giving me no fantasy points. I can't play him.
It's a middle of the pack matchup for McLaurin, but I still play McLaurin over Bryce Young.
But so here's what I do. You definitely don't play Stick, but I would check to see the status of Madison because he's been limited. He's probably going to go, but if Madison doesn't go, I'll fire up Chandler over all those other options.
I think I'm going McLaurin either way. All right, let's get back into this one. Sorry. The quarterbacks, whoever they are, no idea. I'm going to say for now, Easton Stick. He gets 22nd best matchup, so crap. Whoever starts for the Raiders, call it O'Connell, 6th best matchup. I'm not starting either freaking quarterback in this league in any format. He also has JSN.
It's JSN.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's JSN. Yeah. Philly. Yeah, it's JSN.
Oh, okay, Philly.
Yeah, there's the whole reason I got my man here.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, fire up JSN.
Please, Gino, come back. We need you.
Yeah, well, I mean, whoever. I don't care who it is, obviously.
Yeah.
I do if it's Drew Lock. All right, sorry. What do you guys think about these quarterbacks before we move on? Nobody's playing either.
QB 28, QB 30. Like, what are we doing here? Bench the shit out of these guys. I don't want to touch either one of them. No, I'm not playing either one of these guys in any situation. Like, you got to have a better option. If you're playing them in the playoffs, like, just you're in trouble. Like, I'm just going to break it to you straight up. Like, I don't know how you win.
Yeah, you throw in a flexi bench wide receiver or tight end even. If Garoppolo plays, I don't hate it, but he's by far, I think, your best option.
The best options are these ones, the running backs. 6th best matchup for Austin Eckler, 8th best for Josh Jacobs. These two are both smashes. Receivers are banged up. Quarterbacks suck. These two, I assume, are going to be in my top 5. I'm firing up both. I want no backups. I have Eckler at 3. I have Jacobs at 8. I feel like I need to move.
Jacobs may not play.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's a real concern with him and his quad. It's looking doubtful at the moment.
Until he's
I'm treating him as out. Yeah, I'm treating him as out. If he comes and plays, then it's a decision in a couple leagues I have. But like, I'm just acting if he's out because it's brutal. But like Antonio Pierce is talking about it, like if he's gonna play him, they're gonna give him work. They're not going to limit him and all that stuff. They're still gonna play it. I think they have like a puncher's chance for the playoffs. Like I think so. They're gonna continue to go for it. Same thing with the Chargers. Like both these teams are still technically alive for the playoffs, so they're gonna go for it. So they're gonna trust those guys. And yeah, Eckler, you roll with Eckler. I saw a sit-start question. I was like, just play Eckler. He's the only option in that offense. I don't know why you would bench Eckler. Like he's the guy you trust this week.
The Raiders on wide receiver here, 3rd best matchup for the Raiders, 23rd for the Chargers. Especially if Josh Jacobs doesn't play, Devontae Adams is the guy. So this comes down to if Jacobs doesn't play, I'm starting Adams and I'm starting Eckler, and I'm pretty much benching everyone else except for desperation. Like, I guess you could go Zamir White if you're desperate. Chargers receiver. I think I have Guyton in one league where there's no one. I don't mind Quentin Johnston. He had a career high last week in yards and targets. This game for me is two players. It's Devontae Adams and Austin Eckler, assuming Jacobs is a no-go.
Yeah, I will say Palmer's back. So if you're going to trust a wide receiver outside of Adams, it's probably Palmer. Like, he's going to get the
player in their first game back from the
No, I know. It's compared to Quentin Johnston or Jalen Guyton. Like, I'm going to get the guy that I know is going to get the targets at least. Like, that's the thought process behind it. Well, yeah, it's definitely risky. I think he's my wide receiver 34. So I'm not like
I want Quentin Johnston over Palmer. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I'm not doing that with a backup like Easton Stick. No, I just can't trust QJ. Like,
no, but over Palmer, I want him over Palmer. Not. Oh. I don't want him. I prefer him over Palmer.
Just yuck. Just don't. Don't do any of it. Just don't do any of it. Neither.
Continue the yuck. 12th best matchup for Mayer. 18th best matchup for Everett. Neither of them are great options. They are streamable based on shitty quarterbacks, maybe having to check it down, but they're not options I would look to. Kicker, 13th best matchup for Dicker the kicker. He's a decent start if you've got him. Daniel Carlson, 7th worst matchup. I've looked to avoid him. He's been a huge disappointment for fantasy and has been really bad. DSTs, 8th best matchup for Chargers. 7th worst matchup for the Raiders. I think I discount both rankings because who the hell knows what they are. I would not look to start either of them. Having said that, they should both be roughly the top 12. I think I have the Chargers higher, but the Raiders will put up at least 8. Oh, no, I don't. I have the Raiders higher at 7. They are going to put up at least 8 fantasy points because they are in my sit start or my streamers article, and I'm pretty good at DSTs. So I don't mind either. I think they're low-end DST ones with backup quarterbacks. What are your thoughts on that little cluster mess?
I mean, the key part was the backup quarterbacks they're playing against. That's the key. Where I'm like, yeah, they're playing against backup quarterbacks. Sign me up. Like, they'll get pressure. Yep. The thing with Max Crosby is he's questionable as well. So if he doesn't play, I really worry about the Raiders defense like that. Like, he's their entire pressure. Like, he's awesome. So if they lose him, that's a big loss. So I would just keep that in mind if you're going to roll with the Raiders defense.
Yeah, 32 minutes ago, he's expected to play, but I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from. It's on Sleeper.
Who's that, Crosby?
Crosby. So you hope they fire him up. That secondary is not terrible, especially when they can get pressure. So I would prefer actually the Raiders over the Chargers in this matchup.
Yeah. Next, we will go with the Vikings and Bengals.
These quarterbacks, man. This is
more backups, baby. More backups.
This is terrible. Good Lord.
Browning actually hasn't been terrible. As you see the rank here, 9-18.5. That's 9th best matchup, 18.5 points per game allowed by the opposing defense, in case you're looking at it on screen. I forgot to explain it. We will start with the no-name quarterback game again. It seems like I want to go through these at some point to see. I bet you almost half of them are backup quarterbacks. But anyways, 9th best matchup for Mullins, 20th best matchup for Browning. I have no interest in Mullins or whoever they start. I think they said Mullins, but Browning I will start as a QB2. He's super flex viable. I am not putting him in one QB unless I've absolutely done something wrong. He is my QB 17, and I feel like that's pretty solid. I can't justify moving him up much higher than that. But I feel like him and Baker are the cutoff before, even Will Levis and Gardner Minshew, I guess. Right around 21, 22 is my cutoff into the land of the abyss. And I think Browning is firmly in the mid-range QB2 discussion here. You?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's interesting that Jamar Chase has the same confidence he has in Joe Burrow as he does Jake Browning. So take that for what it's worth. He did a tweet, and I was like, oh, interesting. But Browning's been really good. Like, you look at EPA, he's almost similar to Joe Burrow this year. So after that horrific week 1 performance where they ran 41 plays, outside of that, he's been really good. So if I'm firing up either one of these guys, it's Browning. Like, it's not even close. I don't want to do the Mullins experience. I've seen that before. I'm going with Browning. He's my QB 17 as well.
Yeah, he's definitely the option over Mullins, but I just don't trust it. I mean, I trust him enough in the system with the weapons. The problem is Minnesota has been a lot better than even I've been willing to give them credit for. Since Ivan Pace started, getting a majority of the snaps at linebacker over the last 3 weeks. He's been dominant and flying all over the field. They're getting pressure from DJ Wonham, who's stepping up. It's just a somehow much better unit all of a sudden in the last month. So I actually expect Browning to struggle this week.
All right, running backs, 6th worst matchup for the Bengals, 16th best for the Vikings. Having said that, Joe Mixon is easily my favorite in this one. I think he's a low-end RB1. Nope, I have him at 14, so just outside. I might move him up a bit. There's some room. Still early in the week. Madison, don't know if he's playing. Whether it's him or Ty Chandler, I think they're both going to fall in my rankings around low-end RB2. Not great, but they're startable. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the key thing you're talking about. It's all about Madison himself, and if he plays, then it's really mucks up that situation. If he's out, at least we get the game from Chandler. We're hoping, right? But yeah, like you could flex him. I think I'd be okay with that. His ranking is going to shift quite a bit. He's right now he's 22 for me, but yeah.
Sorry, I should also mention I don't have him on the graphic, but I have Chase Brown up as an RB3 now. He's looked good lately.
Yeah, where's he at? Yeah, I'm at 37.
I bring that up because I traded for him earlier. I know my dynasty league. So I've got DeAndre Swift sitting on my bench, and I wanted to trade him for a future draft pick. So I put up, and the guy who I play this week in the playoffs sent me a second round pick that's going to be between 1 and 4. So like it's a top 4 in the second round pick. Would you take 13, 14, 15, 16? Would you take that for DeAndre Swift?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did want to take it. I don't really love the offer, but the guy I'm playing, if I traded him Swift, he's probably going to start Swift, and I think that's me throwing a hand grenade into his lineup this week.
Yep.
So I countered with
That's the hope.
Swift for the second rounder plus Chase Brown, and he accepted. So I got Chase Brown out of it too. And Chase Brown I wanted more than the pick because I think Chase Brown's the starter here next year. So
I think there's a chance that happens. Yeah, I think there's a chance that happens. It's just, Mixon's contract and all that. It's definitely worth it, like a deal like that. I traded Saquon for a first and Keaton Mitchell attached is like a late first, but I was like, I'll take the dart throw that is Keaton Mitchell starter next year. It might not happen, but same situation. Like I was doing that.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. Like I get it. Philly's defense is trash.
Gotta be.
But yeah, you can't.
There's too many weapons there, and if this guy's starting, you can't rely on all of them. That's for sure.
Exactly, that's the problem.
I'm willing to flex Quentin Johnston tonight. It sounds like I'm the only one who was willing to play Johnston, so I think the consensus is no, just Eckler tonight.
I'll flex Palmer if he's active. Like I'm fine flexing Palmer, but yeah, it's the same kind of situation. Like one wide receiver for the Chargers.
All right, back to the running backs here. What did you guys think about Mixon, Madison, Brown, Chandler?
It's clearly Mixon, I think. Yeah. You can flex Brown, but I don't love it because you just don't know when you're going to get. And again, Minnesota's been good. And if Madison's out, you can flex Chandler. If he's in, I don't want him to play either one.
Yeah, I think that game script boosted Brown last week where they got such a big lead. He got some work at the end. I don't expect him to see 30% of the work again this week. Like it doubled his work from the week before. So I think he's more closer to like 20% of the work. It's just very hit or miss with him. You need him big.
The one thing about him is that he's very heavily involved in the screen game, and Browning is not throwing the ball deep because he shouldn't be throwing the ball deep. They got a lot of things in close. Every once in a while he'll go over the top, but to T. Higgins, who's gonna muscle it down or Chase, but Brown is getting a lot of that underneath work, so he's an option.
The wide receivers, 12th best matchup for the Bengals, 13th best matchup for the Vikings, and in something we all saw coming for week 1 of the playoffs, I have both Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson ranked outside the top 15 wide receivers because that's how we all saw it drawn up, right, guys? Do you want to play anyone here? Like I have my highest is Jamar Chase at 16, and then I have Addison and Jefferson. I think I have Jefferson ranked in the low 30s, Addison in the 40s. Like,
move JJ up, move him up. You got to play JJ this week. Listen, Josh Dobbs is no longer starting for this team because he was throwing literal hospital balls last week and put JJ there. Like that ball he threw was just atrocious. JJ went up and got it and paid the price for it. Like,
is it
but
possible,
before he did,
Is it possible that Justin Jefferson realized who his quarterback was and it wasn't a hospital ball? He turned it into a suicide ball. He realized he was better off in the hospital.
I think the reason why Josh Dobbs is no longer starting for 3 teams now, his 3rd team this season, is simply because he just can't execute simple pass plays, and the wide receivers are not happy about it, right? Like you think this organization is going to let Josh Dobbs out on the field ever again after what he did to Jefferson last week? So no way. But the game plan was to feed Justin Jefferson. He had 2 receptions by midway through the first quarter last week. Obviously, that should be the game plan every week with this team. Doesn't matter who's behind center. At least Mullins can throw a slightly more accurate ball, we hope.
They are both both wide receiver 2s for me, low end wide receiver 2s. I'm not moving either higher than that. I don't care.
We've seen Mullins. He supported fantasy options back in the day. It's the Gardner Minshew spectrum of players where it's going to be chaotic, but there will be yards, and that's all we care about for Jefferson. Like, he'll get targets, he'll earn it. Same thing with Chase. Like, both these guys, I'm starting both these guys. I don't care. They're too good to bench for me. I'm not going to have them blow up on the bench. I just won't do it. The interesting one's T. Higgins, and I still don't trust T. Higgins as a second option in that offense. He's my wide receiver 26 in rankings, but boy, I don't trust that ranking at all. I would perfectly just try to find another option to play over T. Higgins just because it's just super risky, man. I'm scared to death of T. Higgins this week.
Agree.
I'm trying to find.
Yeah, it'll be Addison would be a 4th option. But again, those are not guys you want to rely on in the playoffs. You barely want to rely on Chase and Jefferson this week.
I have Higgins at 30, Addison at 34.
Yeah, Addison's really terrifying, actually.
No, thank you. I'm out. Okay, moving on. Tight ends, we have the best matchup for TJ Hawkinson, who you're obviously firing up as a top 3. Then we will go to Irv Smith, Tanner Hudson, whoever.
Tanner Hudson.
The Bengals are starting 20th best matchup. I have no interest in him. Having said that, I am streaming him in 1 or 2 leagues where I'm desperate. He's a desperation streamer. DSTs, middle of the pack matchup for the Vikings. 8th best kicker. 8th best matchup for Evan McPherson. 15th best matchup for Greg Joseph. I will start McPherson. I'm not touching Joseph. DSTs, 9th best matchup for the Bengals, 19th best matchup for the Vikings. I think this one turns into an ugly shootout. I don't really want either defense here. I'm going to look at my rankings, but I don't think I have either of them in the top 12. You guys have anything to add here about that? I have the Bengals at 12 exactly, but I don't really want anything here besides TJ Hawkinson.
Where do you have the Vikings as your defense?
Not good. 17.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense, right?
One thing I'll say about the Vikings is they can get home to the quarterback. Browning, like I said, I don't expect him to have a very good game, but Zach Taylor can scheme stuff up enough, like he's been doing to keep the play simple for Browning so that he can succeed. I don't love either one of these defenses.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We're going to love even more. 2 more potential quarterbacks. Texans, Titans. I have Stroud. I don't think he plays, but I have him there for now. Who's the backup? Is it Long Neck still?
Yeah.
Is it not Tanny?
No, for Stroud.
For Houston.
Oh, for Stroud. Oh, yeah, I have Long Neck.
Davis Mills?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Davis Mills, I expect this to be Davis Mills against Will Levis. Will Levis never looks so good. 8th best matchup for Will Levis. 23rd best matchup for whoever plays for the Texans. Stroud, if he plays, is a top 5 option. If it's anyone else, you're avoiding them. Will Levis, I don't mind firing up as a low-end QB2. I think I have him at 19, actually. So I have him in the range of Browning, Baker, Levis, Minshew, Flacco. So he's in that range where they're not the good quarterbacks like Kyler, Goff, Geno, but they're not the bad ones like Trubisky, Wilson, Mullins. Like, they're in that kind of purgatory for quarterbacks where they're not terrible, but they're not good.
Yeah. The interesting thing for this is Davis Mills is my lowest ranked starting quarterback this week. So take that for what it's worth. Like, you go from Stroud to Davis Mills, it's like you're jumping off a cliff with no parachute. You're just hoping for something good to happen. But yeah, Will Levis looks amazing. He still had his second best performance last week. He only gave you 16 fantasy points. So he does make some really good plays, but like overall for fantasy production, he's just not that great. So I have him at QB 20, but yeah, like he's in the Joe Flacco range, like you're talking about. You can play him, but there's serious risk with him. You just know it can go sideways just because he's super risky as a quarterback.
I have CJ Stroud ranked 10 spots ahead of Davis Mills, and I have CJ Stroud listed as out. Just saying. Just saying. How about you, Jeremy? What do you got?
It's pretty. I don't know the exact matchup numbers, but it just speaks to the legacy of Garrett Wilson that he was the wide receiver 7 last week with Zach Wilson against Derek Stingley, and this his shutdown cornerness. I think it's probably the worst game he's given up all season. So, looking at like someone like DeAndre Hopkins, I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about Levis and what he can do against this defense because there aren't any other options there for him to throw to. If they shut down Hopkins, it's going to be a tough day for him. I would prefer not to play any of them. If Stroud is out there, I'll absolutely fire him up, even though his weapons are depleted.
Moving on to 4 guys who I probably will be starting in this one because they're going to see all the work. 15th best matchup for the Titans running backs, 24th for the Texans running backs. Henry I like best. Then I think I would go Singletary, Pierce, and Spears, but I think I'm willing to at least flex all 4. They're probably all within my top 30 or 36. I have Henry at 7. I have Henry at 7. And then 33, 34, 35 are Singletary, Spears, and then Pierce. So I'm willing to play all 4 of them, I guess.
I'm with you. This just seems like it's going to be a positive game script for Tennessee. So this is one where Spears drops in rankings and Henry gets like the higher floor just because with Davis Mills, like you don't expect them to win the game, right? So that's kind of how it works. And you can play them. And Singletary, like it's just weird. I like him. He's my 20. What is he? 20 something? I'm blanking on his rankings, but yeah, he's 19. But we've seen it kind of ebb and flow with him. So his floor is not as high as we like it, but he gets the passing game work. If you get the passing game work, is always an option. And you're playing with a backup quarterback. And we see these running backs succeed with these backup quarterbacks because they check it down and dump it out. So like that's the way Singletary succeeds in this game. So if you need to flex him this week, I'm totally fine with that. It's a little bit more risky when he gets to Spears and those guys. Yeah.
I'm looking at my wide receiver rankings and I'm noticing an amazing trend. My top 13 or 14 are good receivers who have their quarterbacks. Then the next, like all the wide receiver 2s are good receivers who don't have their quarterback. This is like the wide receiver 2 range has kind of been the misfit, like Toyland. It's Jamar Chase, Hopkins, fucking Garrett Wilson, Olave, Jefferson, just people like, it's amazing how, you'll drop 10 spots when they lose the quarterback there. But sorry, go ahead back to the running backs here.
I was just going to say, I think you put Pierce last, Aaron, right? And I know I heard Jesse did. Yeah, Pierce is last for me. He only got 14% of the snaps last week, and he got 38% 2 weeks ago. It was just odd that on those 38% of snaps, he got 15 carries and scored a touchdown, right? So it's just hard to rely on him at all when he's just not seeing the field. So I agree with you guys. Henry, Singletary, Spears, and Pierce.
Start 2, full PPR. Gibbs, Bijan, Jacobs, Henry, or Ford. First 2 for me.
I'm probably
you can't.
Henry.
You can't not play Gibbs. He's locked in, especially against Denver. Just fire him up. And then, I'm assuming Jacobs is out.
Yeah, I'm not playing Jacobs. I'm not playing Ford. It's the 3 of Gibbs, Bijan, and Henry. I'm actually going to trust Henry over Gibbs, which seems foolish, but that's how my rankings have it. So, yeah, I have Bijan, Derrick Henry, and Jahmyr Gibbs this week. I think that's my
even in full PPR.
Yeah.
Yep, I have Henry at 6. I have Gibbs at 10.
I'm going Gibbs.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Aaron. I'm trusting the matchups in this one.
Well, not only like even if it wasn't the matchups, Henry always is one of the guys who gets dinged most for me in full PPR. So Gibbs and Bijan, 90% of their work is in the passing game. So in full PPR, they're easy ones for me. Moving on to what?
One second. And if Stroud starts throwing it all over the yard like he can do, Henry can get phased out quickly. Those other guys are game script agnostic, so you're okay.
If Stroud plays, I will prefer Gibbs and Bijan for sure.
Wide receivers, 10th best matchup for the Texans, 18th best matchup for the Titans. This one scares me. Nico and Hopkins, I think I still have as mid to low end wide receiver 2s, but it's scary as all shit. The bust potential is really here, and the ceiling is not that high. What do you guys think?
Yeah, like I really, as good as we like these Houston options before, it's terrifying. And like we don't know if we gotten word if Nico's fully healthy. Like, is that where he's at? Because they still deal with the injury, and it's like Noah Brown right now is my highest ranked guy out of them, just because I don't know with him. But D Hop, he's my wide receiver 14. Outside of that, it's really questionable. So it's just like you could go Brown if you wanted to, but with a backup quarterback and a guy who's not great at earning targets, it just worries me. And then it trickles down where I don't really want to start anybody else.
Yep, agree. I like Brown if Stroud is in. If not, I'll pass. So it's really Hopkins and nobody else here. You can't ever play Treylon Burks. Like, I don't know what you'll be able to try and get from him from a dynasty perspective in the offseason, but if you can move him just for peanuts, just do it. Maybe like a late third round pick for someone who wants to try to like bolster their squad. Just get him off your team. You've had him on your bench all year, probably. Hopefully.
Tight ends, good matchup for Chigo Okonkwo, fifth best. He is a streaming option. Like I said, he's one of those ones where I ran out of healthy tight ends. I don't mind streaming him. He's a borderline top 12. Worst matchup for whoever starts for the Texans, Schultz. I'm drawing a blank. What's the name here, Jeremy? I know you know.
Brevin
Jordan. Thank you. Either way, I'm not starting him. Kickers.
Tegan, whatever his name is.
Tegan Quatoriano.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. I got Salvered at 64.
Sixth and seventh best matchup here for the kickers. I'm not playing either. I have it listed as Matt Amendola, but he was cut earlier this week. I don't even know if they've brought someone in to replace him. But whoever it is at Nick Folk,
Fairbairn's back.
Is he? Weird.
What?
Okay.
What?
I guess he is.
Fairbairn is back.
Oh, is he? Okay, that's why they cut him.
Yep.
Fairbairn is interesting. I wasn't sure. I thought you said Aaron was back. I'm like, was I frozen? Okay. Fairbairn. Okay, that means he is worthwhile streaming then. I don't know if I ranked him. I did not know that. So he might be a decent streamer. It's risky. Oh, I didn't have that. I have as 18th. DSTs. 12th best matchup for the Texans. Fourth worst matchup for the Titans. I'm comfortable starting either of these as streamers if CJ Stroud is out. I have it ranked as CJ Stroud out, and I currently have the Texans at 13, the Titans at 21, but the Titans will move up. Oh, no, I must not have Stroud. I have Stroud as questionable. So the Titans are 21 right now. They will move up probably borderline top 12, maybe 14 if he doesn't play, which I expect him to not play. What are your thoughts here?
Exactly that. I'm right there with you, all of those. Yeah.
Same. We got a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Start 2. Diggs, Jefferson, Adams, Hollywood. I'm ignoring Hollywood. Diggs is a must start. And then who do you guys like between Jefferson and Adams?
Jefferson.
I don't know. Let me look. I think I go Adams over Jefferson, but I couldn't fault you either way. We agree Diggs is the must start and Hollywood's the must sit.
Yeah. There's no way in hell I'm playing Hollywood over Adams or Jefferson.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
Okay.
Especially he's dealing with an injury on top of it
with these guys.
Yeah. No, thank you.
But I don't know that Diggs is a must start. I don't hate Jefferson and Adams. If you want to take a swing, but I will go Diggs over Adams. It's just that offense is really struggling, and they got Dallas, right? So it's possible that he gets shut down for the second week in a row. It's tricky out there, but I do go Diggs Jefferson.
So we have 2 with Diggs and Jefferson, and I go Diggs and Adams. So start Diggs and then play whoever you prefer over Jefferson and Adams. Where were we? Oh, we had to get to the next game, right?
Yeah, because Adams gets the Chargers, so it's a nice matchup. But it's just freaking backup quarterback galore.
They're all backup quarterbacks. I don't even discount it anymore.
There's 2 more.
Nobody playing with their own quarterback. At this point,
they're literally all backup quarterbacks.
Minshew's been in for so long, I don't even consider him one of the backups anymore. It's just
Minshew's the all-pro of backup quarterbacks. Yeah. That's what Minshew is.
I think this is Aaron. This is the 4th or 5th matchup we've gone through. Literally, not one of these we've discussed the quarterback who started week 1.
No, I know, except unless CJ Stroud is actually the quarterback, but yeah,
he's not playing.
So the quarterbacks here, awesome. We have Trubisky and Minshew. It is the where the hell are they? 24th best matchup for Minshew and the 16th best matchup for Trubisky. I'm not touching Trubisky. He's like 27 for me. Gardner Minshew's a mid-range QB2. You can fire him up if you need to. He is nothing more in QB. In single QB, he's a desperation play. You know, if you lost Herbert and have nothing else, fire him up. But I don't really advocate for it. What do you guys got?
Yeah, I think I'd honestly rather play Mullins instead of over Minshew this week if I'm going down the QB1 desperation streamer. I just don't like this matchup for Minshew. Like there could be some serious turnovers, and that's what worries me going against Pittsburgh. Like they have some good guys that can turn the ball over, get some sacks, and all that sort of stuff. So it could be a very chaotic game for Minshew. He's my QB 22, but yeah, like if you need to fire up desperation play, I'm okay with that. I'm not doing it with Trubisky. There's no way I'm doing it with Trubisky.
I agree. Like I don't like this matchup for Minshew, but on the other hand, I don't like Mullins for Mullins. So
yeah, like he's not great either. We're dealing with positive shit here. Like that's what we're talking about.
I fully expect the backs to take over in this game, so I really don't want to start either one, but agree it's Minshew if you got it.
All right, with that professional segue, let's talk about the backs. Second best matchup for the Steelers, 11th best matchup for the Colts. I have Zach Moss the highest, then Najee, then Jaylen Warren. I am back firmly in the Najee over Warren camp. I have Moss at 13. I might move that up a spot or two. I have Najee at 24 and Jaylen Warren at 26. So the Steelers are very close, but I give Najee the edge. What do you guys think?
I have Warren above him, but I'm really not. It's like splitting hairs between the two of them. It always is. It comes down to how they're used around the goal line, the passing on usually like ebbs and flows between the two of them, where they just cap each other each and every week. Like you see it. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. If Najee gets the touchdown, he's gonna score more points. If not, like I'll trust Warren. But yeah, Moss is like my high-end RB2 of all of these guys. I trust Moss. Even though he's been disappointing the last couple of weeks, I'm still trusting the process and the volume and everything he's getting. So we're rolling with him again, so put him in your lineups.
Yeah. And Jonathan Taylor was literally just ruled out just now by Steichen, so it's Moss for sure. As we all assumed. Yeah, he's just getting the volume and the work. There's nobody else there. The fact that Sermon is listed here as the RB2 is the issue, right? So, yeah, for me, it's Moss. And then, flip a coin. It's probably Harris over Warren. But theoretically, it's a great matchup for those guys. So you can flex them both.
Yes, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked our recommendation.
There.
CJ Stroud remains in concussion protocol. Nico Collins is also not practicing. Well, this just keeps getting better.
It's rough. This is rough. This is why buys are so important, folks. If you have a buy, you're loving life. If not,
it's not even burnout anymore. I just want this season to end so we can start fresh with normal players again.
The season's been brutal. The season has been absolutely brutal.
For quarterbacks especially. But all right, moving on to wide receivers here. 12th worst matchup for the Steelers, 15th best for the Colts. Michael Pittman is easily the one in this for me.
Yeah.
Pittman is 7. I assume Deontay is my next highest. He is. He's at 28. Yep. George Pickens is a prayer somewhere in the 40s. So really, I'm definitely playing Pittman. I will fire up Deontay, and then Pickens, Downs are a Hail Mary. I think Pickens and Downs are probably in the same range for me. I think I have Downs a little higher, maybe, but I can't find him. What do you guys?
I have Downs higher, but yeah, it's.
I do have Downs. Three spots higher for Downs. Sorry to interrupt.
It's risky, man. Like we've seen Downs, he's kind of struggled recently. The last 2 weeks, he has 8 targets combined, so his role just fluctuates too much. He's just not on the field enough. 68% of snaps, like that's kind of the issue with wide receivers in his range. If you're not on the field all the time, your role can fluctuate. And that's what we see. And Deontay just has Mitchell Trubisky, who gives him the targets. It's just inefficient. So you kind of have to just make way with it. Like I have a decision between Josh Jacobs or Deontay Johnson, and it's like one of my third flexes in the league. And I am like, really don't want to play Deontay, but I'm probably going to be forced to play Deontay this week. So it is what it is. You just got to trust the volume with him. He's my wide receiver 30, I think, this week. But yeah, it's Pittman's world. No one else is even close to Pittman.
Yeah, and with Pittman, you love the volume. The only problem is Joey Porter Jr. on the other side. So it is a legit concern. But over the last, I'm not even going to count, since week 7, since week 6, actually, Pittman has finished no worse than wide receiver 16. He's finished as a wide receiver 1 4 times, and then the wide receiver 13, 14 a couple times there. So he's crushing it. He's getting roughly 12 targets a week. He's catching roughly 9 balls a week. Like you're firing him up regardless. So yeah, it's Pittman well above these guys.
Yeah, he's on pace for like 180 targets. It's absurd.
Insane.
It is. It's not even close. Tight ends, 8th best matchup for Freiermuth. You're firing him up as a mid-range tight end 1. Kylan Granson or Mo Alley Cox or whoever the hell it is, middle of the pack matchup. You're not playing him. The kickers here,
No.
best matchup for Boswell. He's a streamer if you have to. He's probably just on the inside of 12 for me. Matt Gay is a middle of the pack matchup. He is top 5 for me. He's been great with the exception of last week. The DSTs, we have 12th worst matchup for the Colts and the 15th best matchup for the Steelers. I am still firing them both up. These matchups are really tough. And at this point, it's sure in theory, it's a bad matchup for the Colts DST, but Trubisky hasn't been around long enough to really weigh that down yet. So I have the Colts at 4 and the Steelers at 11. So I am firing them both up in this one. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's like, you said everything right there. I'm on board. Let's roll.
You said Colts at 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Juju Brents is cleared to go. He's going to play. That means that the secondary is going to be that much better. And Grover Cleveland came back last week and dominated in the middle of that D. So, the Colts D is just firing on all cylinders now. Who would have thunk it? 2023,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, 2023.
Cole's defense MVP this week.
That's it.
It looks good, man. Let's go.
Next up, we have an actual starting quarterback, Jets and Dolphins. Zach Wilson against Tua. Tua gets, sure enough, we have an actual starting quarterback, and he gets the second worst matchup for quarterbacks. That's how
I'm
it
actually
was.
benching him.
And then 15th best matchup for Wilson. Having said that, I've got Tua as my 13. Tua as 13, and Zach Wilson as 27. What do you guys think?
So I'm dropping Tua lower than that. I just put him below Geno in my rankings. It's just if Geno plays or not. But like Tua is my QB 16. Like he's the most like good matchup dependent quarterback. Bad matchup, like you see the difference. And so I get it. Tua's been really good this year, but the Jets are fantastic against wide receivers. Those two corners are shutdowns, and like Tyreek Hill can get his, but outside of that, I do very much worry about Tua in this matchup. So like. I just don't trust the ceiling at all. Like he'll give you floor play, but like we're not chasing that. We want to win our matchups this week because you go home if you lose. So I am worried about this week very much.
Dynasty, you guys like Pittman or Olave?
I'm probably a huge Olave truther.
Yeah,
the problem is the quarterback. But yeah, Pittman has proved he's QB proof, but Anthony Richardson is going to be a little less accurate than Gardner Minshew with less volume. So I'll go Olave.
Sorry, my ADD got kicked in, and I had to look at a trade offer. Running backs, 4th worst matchup.
Wait, hang on. I just wanted to tell you, Aaron, that I'm starting Joe Flacco this week over Tua in the Warrior Bowl against you. So enjoy that.
I got Flacco on a team titled AARP. He's my super flex quarterback. We're rolling.
I saw that.
Kelsey. I was like, old guys, let's go.
Nice.
Running backs, 4th worst matchup for the Jets, 7th best matchup for the Dolphins. I think I have Achane ranked highest, but I'm not 100% sure. These guys are all going to be clustered together. I don't. I have Mostert at 14, Hall at 15, Achane at 19. That surprises me. All 3 with questionable tags. Go figure.
Yeah. I'm just going to trust Mostert because I know he's playing in this game. He's going to be the highest. If Achane's cleared and like it's a mystery injury, they won't tell you what it is, so that's fun. So like I want both of the Dolphins running backs in the lineups in this week. I'm playing both of them. Breece Hall, I'm playing, but we've seen Breece Hall. He has to do it all himself, and it's super frustrating. He's my RB10, but man, that ranking feels risky as hell just because they can't run the ball. Like literally, look at his rushing yards per game and his per carry. It's awful. It's really bad. So. I get it. He'll see the volume, but I'm going to start both Dolphins running backs if Achane's clear to play above Hall. It's just in the meantime, Mostert and then Breece and then Achane.
Yeah, so Mostert, Breece, Achane. I think that's the way it's got to be. Achane, of course, can break off a 70-yard touchdown run at any point. So you're flexing him in most situations against most teams. I don't have an issue with it, but I will start Hall over him.
19th best matchup for Garrett Wilson. Worst matchup for Tyreek Hill. I don't care. Tyreek is my 3. I have Waddle at 18, Wilson at 20. So a wide receiver, high end 1 and 2 mid to low end 2s. What do you guys got?
Yeah, I have Tyreek at 8, and it's just the matchup. Like that's what worries me. But I'm going to play him no matter what. He's too good. You can't bench him. Like that's just idiocy. Like you're asking yourself to lose at that point. Waddle's the one that worries me. Jeremy, where do you have Waddle at?
I mean, I don't have him ranked, but I was asking the question in our chat this morning, assuming Stroud plays, which is a poor assumption. Are you starting Waddle or Noah Brown this week? That's how bad it is for me with Waddle in this matchup. I'm super concerned. Whenever Achane's out there, he limits Waddle's ceiling. It's kind of like a Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith situation. He's just seeing kind of that work that would normally be, the underneath passing volume that Waddle eats up. So I'm really concerned about him. I would put him at probably a low range wide receiver 2 this week.
Yeah, like I have Wilson and Waddle kind of back to back. So I'm just gonna trust the volume Wilson sees in this matchup and go with it. It's, you know what you're getting. It's more of a floor play than anything else. But he gets the volume at least, so we'll roll with it.
All right, the tight end situation. Middle of the pack matchup for both sets of tight ends. Conklin is a desperation streamer. That's about it. The kickers, 5th best matchup for Jason Sanders, who was also in my column this week. I will fire him up if I have to. Top 10 or 12, I don't know exactly where he'll fall. Zerline, 4th worst matchup. No interest in him whatsoever. 2nd best matchup for the Dolphins D. They are my 1 on the week. 11th worst matchup for the Jets. They are still a desperation play, but I think I have them all the way down at 17. Yep. So Dolphins for me, and that's about it here. Dolphins and Sanders, I guess, and then I'm avoiding everyone else. How about you guys?
Yeah, that seems like the safest play to go. I don't want to get too risky with it and go that way. But yeah, on that note, I'm going to head out. So I want to wish you all good luck on your week 15 and hopefully get the win. And I will see you guys on the Sit Start Show on Sunday.
No, you won't. You'll see us tomorrow because it's Thursday.
Oh, that's right. See, my week's all screwed up. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, I'll see you all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Later, man.
See you guys.
One thing to consider is Tua just looks terrible back there and is taking, excuse me, a fair amount of sacks. But it's actually not nearly as much as you'd expect. Who's taking the most sacks is Zach Wilson. 42 times he's been sacked on the season. I think he missed he was benched for a couple of games in there, and he's still the 3rd most sacked QB in the league. The Dolphins are getting home too, so I don't mind firing them up.
Yeah, well, you have to factor in that the Dolphins are total frauds, so this one won't be a great one for them. Next,
okay,
we have our worst of the last 3 games.
Bears starting quarterback.
Kind of. Bears and Browns. We have Fields and Flacco. It is the 5th worst matchup for Fields because every actual starting quarterback has a bad matchup, and a 15th best matchup for Joe Flacco. I feel like these two might be closer in my rankings than I'm going to want to admit. Fields is 11. Flacco is 17. That's kind of scary, but here we are. What do you think?
Yeah, you got to go Fields over Flacco here just because of the upside, but any quarterback against the Browns D, I don't care what they can do with their legs. Any QB there is scary. What he does have going for him is the Browns are kind of beaten up, right? Myles Garrett has kind of slowed down. I think he's still kind of recovering from an injury, but he's certainly not at that pace he was earlier in the year. And then, of course, you also have, I think it was Delpit, right, who just got the big deal and then immediately went on IR. So they're shorthanded back there in the Browns secondary as well. So I would go Fields, but if you got to play Flacco, even though the Bears defense has been better, they did lose not Sweat, but whoever is opposite Sweat on the pass rush. I can't think of his name at the moment, but he is down. I don't know if he's IR'd or just out for this game, but so that's at least better for Flacco as well.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, same.
Cody Barton? No.
I'll have to look it up. Let me look it up.
We'll move on. Running backs, 9th best matchup for Jerome Ford, who I am firing up, I'm sure, as a top 12 or 15. No, actually, having said that, he's 18. 19th best matchup for the Bears. I don't really want anything to do with that. I think all three of them are running back threes. One of them will finish as a running back two. I don't really want to guess which one it is. I prefer Jerome Ford over all of them. And having said that, Ford is maybe a mid-range two for me. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, you just don't want to really touch that Bears backfield, even though Foreman owned it last week. Like, inexplicably, like, what are we doing? We're talking about potentially getting rid of Fields here. So we are rebuilding, right? But at the same time, like, we're playing Deonta Foreman as much as possible. 28, 29-year-old running back doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want anything to do with it. I'll play Ford at desperation hunt and no one else.
Wide receiver, 16th best matchup for the Browns, second worst for the Bears. DJ Moore is my highest. He is at 12. Surprisingly, my next closest is Amari Cooper at 16. Why so high, you may ask? In the one start with Joe Flacco, he had 14 targets last week. 14 fucking targets. I was amazed when I seen that. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Flacco, nor do I have lots of faith in Cooper, but I will follow 14 targets all the way to my graves. Give me those two, and I'm avoiding everyone else in this lineup. You?
So sorry, you said you want Cooper and Moore and no one else?
Yeah.
And that's
the
DJ,
receivers,
not Elijah?
the receivers, I mean.
Yeah. And that's DJ Moore, not Elijah Moore?
Oh, yes, DJ. I'm not a big fan of Elijah. I guess you could desperation stream Elijah.
You could.
He's in the 40s or 50s for me.
You could. But yeah, I agree. I want Cooper over Moore here. But the Bears, they've just been really good.
Cooper over DJ or Elijah?
Cooper over DJ.
Okay.
It's Yannick Ngakoue, who's now IR'd for the Bears. So that's going to give Flacco a little bit more time. And hopefully Amari Cooper can take advantage like he did last week.
All righty. Tight ends, third worst matchup for Cole Kmet. Don't care. Firing him up as a mid-range tight end one. Seventh best matchup for David Njoku. Same story as Kmet. Maybe one spot higher based on the matchup. They're both kind of 4 to 8 in tight end rankings for me. Kickers. Third worst matchup for Cairo Santos. Avoid him at all costs. Dustin Hopkins is the kicker 1 or 2 in most scoring settings. Mid-range matchup. He is a must start this week. DST, 6th and 7th best matchup for these two. I can't talk. I have them 7 for the Browns, and the Bears I have significantly down at 17. But I don't mind starting the Browns Bears out of desperation, but I would choose the Browns pretty easily here. Thoughts?
I would just say move the Bears up for sure. Even with Ngakoue down, they've just been so much better. They're healthy on the back end. They're getting to the quarterback. And over the last 2 games, which is week 12 and 14, granted it was Minnesota and Detroit, but they put up 16 and depending on we don't have a ranking here on Sleeper, but 16 and 15 points. They're just, over the last 4 weeks, they have at least 2 sacks in every game with more, and they're also causing fumbles and turning the ball over at an insane rate. So it's not sustainable, but I do think that they're worthy of being better than 17.
For me, it's a reflection of Joe Flacco. He is a Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady clone here, where he gets rid of the ball insanely quick, and it's a lot of checkdowns. That's why I like the tight ends here. It's, he's not going to be holding onto the ball. You're not going to see him scrambling. It's going to be, couple steps, drop, 1, 2, go. There's going to be a lot of first read check down here. So that was the only reason I don't have the Bears higher. Next up, Chiefs at Patriots. Is that a starting quarterback? He must have a terrible matchup if it's a starting quarterback.
Just cover this up and not even.
All right. So we have the 7th worst matchup for Patrick Mahomes, followed by the 18th best matchup for Bailey Zappi. Mahomes is going to be as low as I've had him all year. Mahomes is my 8 because I don't like facing the Patriots. Zappi, whatever, 30, 32. So let's just move on from Bailey Zappi. What are your thoughts here? Start Mahomes, forget Zappi. Like, what else can you say?
Yeah, I mean, I would start a lot of players over Mahomes. I wouldn't do it if it were this guy, but if it was Geno, I probably would against Philly.
Have you ever seen sorry to interrupt you. Have you ever seen a season where starting a position player at Superflex has been more widely acceptable? Like there's probably 10 quarterbacks this week I would start a receiver over. Zappy is one of them. This is I've never seen this. Normally I'm like, oh, Baker, yeah, screw it, I'm starting Baker. No, there's a lot of guys where you could see 5 to -5 points, and it's terrifying. This is terrifying.
I mean, I'll tell you a couple things. I will not pick up Easton Stick or Tommy DeVito. I won't do it. I know DeVito had a nice game, but it was against those Philadelphia Eagles, right? Like, I'm not doing it. So forget it. As for Mahomes, if the Patriots can do one thing, they can take away your top weapon on offense. So we know Kelsey is going to be neutralized as much as he can be. Rice will probably get his. Pacheco probably not playing again. It's just shaping up for another mediocre fantasy performance for Mahomes.
Middle of the pack matchup here to low end, I guess. 17th and 20th for both running backs. I assume I'm going to have Ramondre the highest ranked here.
No, Zeke, no?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Zeke, I had this. Yeah. Zeke at 16. Oh, yeah, because Ramondre's out. I'm like, why can't I find Ramondre? Because it's Zeke. I have Zeke at 16. Thank you, Jeremy. Zeke at 16. Yep. Jerick McKinnon at 31. CEH, I don't know, on the unemployment line. I don't know, somewhere. Anyways, so I've got a decent low-end wide running back 2, a desperation McKinnon, and I have Pacheco on the graphic, but he's likely to be out, right? He's not officially out, but he's all but out pretty much.
Yeah, he's not practicing, so you can't rely on him. I doubt he comes back. Look, this is a team that knows it's going to make the playoffs, and it's going to need Pacheco if it wants to go on another Super Bowl run. So they're going to rest him, I think, as long as possible up until the playoffs, I think, if they're smart. Yeah. As for McKinnon, he's my favorite guy after Zeke here. CEH, I think, will have his usefulness. Depending on matchups, this is not the matchup to play the guy who's running between the tackles against the Pats. So I want Zeke, McKinnon, and no one else here.
Wide receivers, 11th best matchup for the Chiefs. I will play Rashee Rice as a wide receiver 2 or 3, like low end 2. Patriots, bad matchup. I don't really want any. Demario Douglas as an absolute desperation. I don't like the matchup. I would prefer to start Rice as a 2 or 3 and avoid every other receiver in this game. So how about you?
Yeah, totally agree. Pop is back practicing. If you have to, you can throw him in there. But yeah, between Juju and Parker, you don't know who's going to get the ball, and they're not going to get it much anyway, so it doesn't matter. You're probably, like you said, benching all those guys. Rice and no one else. Rashee Rice, you just fire him up every week at this point. I mean, he just can't help getting the volume. There is literally no one else there that can hold on to the football.
All right, tight ends, 6th and 7th worst matchup. I'm still tight end 2 on Travis Kelce. Hunter Henry's in my streamer range. He is mid-range. Tight end 2, he's 15. The kickers, Butker is the 11th best matchup. I'll start him as a top 10. Patriots, Chad Ryland, worst matchup. Not a great season. I want nothing to do with him. And at DST, 4th best matchup for the Chiefs. They are my DST 2 on the week. Patriots are the 10th worst matchup. They are my DST 26. So I want nothing to do with them. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. You said Kelce TE2, but the TE2, right? Not like
yeah. The.
Yeah.
Behind Hawkinson.
Yeah. I mean, I think he very well could be a tight end too. The problem is you can't sit him in the playoffs. You just got to roll with Kelce and just trust that his elite tight end volume, which continues to come, translates into a touchdown, which over the last 3 weeks it hasn't.
Let's close this one out with a game that features 2, not 1, but 2 starting quarterbacks. This is the first one we've had all schedule, right? This is the first time, right? We've had Mahomes, we've had Fields. This is 2 starting quarterbacks, people. This is paradise right here. Okay. Having said that, let's look at the matchup. Middle of the pack matchup, so that's actually not terrible. 17th best for Dak, 19th best for Josh Allen. I'm sure I have Dak. Actually, I have them back-to-back, 4 and 5. I have Dak 1 spot higher. What do you think here?
Yep, you're firing up every Cowboy for every game for the rest of the season. It does not matter. They are rolling, and the matchups are great. The Bills are getting healthier, they're looking better on D, but they're still not all the way there. I would probably go, because it's the Cowboys D, I would also go Dak over Allen, but you're playing both.
All right, running backs, Pollard, 13th best matchup, third worst for James Cook. I have Pollard as my RB12. Cook is a little further down at 18. I want nobody else. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I understand if you need to play Dowdle, but hopefully you don't need to play Dowdle because your team is in the playoffs. If that's the case, that's a desperation flex. Otherwise, you can't trust Murray at all. So it's Pollard and then Cook.
The wide receivers are not great matchups. They are the 22nd best for Buffalo, 20th best for the Cowboys. Having said that, CD Lamb is my wide receiver 2. Stephon Diggs is my wide receiver 6. I'm firing them both up. I don't really hate or love the backups. Gallup, Cooks, Gabe Davis, Khalil Shakir. I don't really want to start any of them more than my wide receiver 3 or my flex. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go Brandon Cooks, but I don't love it. You?
Yeah, of those second tier options is Cooks by a mile. In week 12, which was 2 games ago for Gabe Davis, he received 12 targets, converted that for 6, 105 and 1. It was his best game of the season. He had a game like that 3 other times. You just never know when it's going to come. It could come this week. The Cowboys D could shut down Diggs. You just have no clue. You can't trust him in the playoffs. If he goes off on my bench, that's where he belongs. So I'm going to live with that. I'll start Brandon Cooks.
Tight ends, 11th and 12th, worst matchup. Having said that, Ferguson is my 8 this week. Kincaid is my 12, so you're firing them both up. The kickers, second worst matchup for Tyler Bass. He's still top 10. 8th worst matchup for Brandon Aubrey. He is still also top 10. Both of them probably top 6 at some point. DST, second and third worst matchup for these two. You're not starting either of them. I have Bills as 29 and the Cowboys as 19. I want nothing to do with either of them. So fire up both tight ends. Probably have to start both kickers and avoid both defenses, but don't drop either. Although the matchups come playoffs aren't great for either, so do what you got to do. But I would try and carry a second DST if you could. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds about right. The only thing of note is Kincaid was out there still getting the targets as normal, but Knox is back. He played 50% of snaps last week, is taking a little bit of volume away from Shakir, which is fine. But the Bills have said that they're ramping up his usage. So in the next couple of weeks, it could be a little iffy with, Knox out on the field more. And the only thing that would do for me is I just feel a little less safe about playing Kincaid, even though I would. So I take Ferguson here over Kincaid in this matchup.
All righty. That is a wrap of the backup quarterback fest. Good God. I've never seen anything like that. We had one game with starting quarterback. So check back tomorrow at 12 or 12:30 where we will break down the NFC games. Hopefully there are some starting quarterbacks in that one. For Aaron,
Unlikely.
Jesse, and Jeremy. Jesus. Thanks all for tuning in. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
Later.